I'm going to go ahead and powder a little bit. Am I going to powder? Hi everybody, thank you for joining me here on Pavanine Studios Beauty and Art. This is going to be another Mix It Monday. I have my whole series of Mix It Mondays linked in a playlist down below. Today I am going to be doing a mixing of three things. So I've got the ILIA foundation, and I just bought this, and it's too light for me right now, but I really want to play with it. So I also have a pump of the Skin Perfect HD foundation from Kokie, and I have the color here 20C, which is a little bit darker and it's neutral. And then I've got a little squeezy drop of the Cover FX drops in the color P50, and this is the darkest one of these drops that I have. And I'm just trying to bring that ILIA foundation down into a color that will work on me right now. So although I don't have any self tanner or anything like that on, I am still a little bit darker than I am in the winter. So we'll see how this goes. If I have to adjust it, I'll add more of the ILIA because that's the one I really want to play with. So that's a lot of foundation, but we're gonna give it a go. I'm gonna grab my IT Cosmetics foundation brush, one of them, and we are just going to go in. I colored my hair this morning and I always try not to get it on my forehead, and I even put Aquaphor on there to protect it and still ended up getting it on there. So we're gonna try to cover that up a little bit. So that might be a little dark. Let's kind of blend it out and see what we think. And then if I have to go over the top of it with a little bit more of the ILIA one, I will. Drag that down my neck a little bit. I would say I have probably equal proportions of all three of those foundations on the back of my hand right now. And I always like more foundation. If I'm gonna have more foundation, I like it on the perimeter of my face, in my cheek area, as opposed to in the center on my nose. Even though I have plenty of redness and freckles and things like that on my nose, I don't usually like a lot of product on my nose. So what do we think? Put a little on my ears because my ears are kind of white. I usually manage to plaster a hair or two onto my face. So what do we think? I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit because I think that will be okay. Assuming it doesn't oxidize, an entire shade, dry down, darker. Oxidization. Why does that sound wrong? Anyway, that's always a little bit different than something that dries down. Even when you paint your walls or something like that, you do tend to get a little bit of a darker color once that color is actually dry. Okay, color-wise, I think that's gonna be okay. So I'm going to go in with my sponge and kind of pat out, especially the center of my face, because that's where I like a little bit less product, and just make sure everything is not too heavy. And I'll probably do this a little bit more after I add my concealer and so forth. So let's see. It does look pretty heavy around my nose. And I've got a lot of sunscreen, and I used the Smashbox primerizer today. I'm not much of a primer person, but I went ahead and used that just to have a little bit more moisture. I could have gone in with my Too Faced Hangover primer, which is also kind of moisturizer-like, but I didn't do that. Why didn't I do that? I like that primer. I mean, as primers go. I'm going to go in with a little bit of my Giorgio Armani concealer here. As per usual, not too much. Blend that out with my concealer brush, which I very helpfully washed the other day. And just tap that out on the corners and then blend them together underneath. Always good to see how your concealers will work with the foundation or foundations that you are using. So far I have had pretty good luck with this one, and I quite like it. I mean, as concealers go, I'm pretty fond of it. So blend that out and then press that in with my fingers, which are relatively warm. So I think that will do. I'm going to go ahead and powder under my eyes with my NARS Crystal Setting Powder. Alright, now that I've done that, I'm going to look at my forehead again, because yeah, it is settling a little bit in my forehead creases here, which I'm hoping that my Botox will kick in here any minute now, and I won't have to worry about that quite as much for a little while. And honestly, that's the only reason I do it, Botox I mean, is so that maybe those forehead line expression lines will not be quite so subject to creasing. Not because I don't like the lines on, well, I mean, I guess I don't love the lines on my forehead, but you know, I'm 51, I figure I've earned those lines. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my face, and I'm going to use a couple of cream products, I think, for my bronzer and my cheeks, and then I'll powder and do my highlight and finish off the rest of my face, and I will come back and share with you what I put on there and let you know how things are looking so far. As usual, I will try to do a check-in probably 5 or 6 hours into my wear time, let you know how things are going, and then, you know, assuming that they're okay, I'll leave it there, and if it goes south after that, I'll let you know. I'll either do another check-in or put that down in the description box. Anyway, I'm gonna go do that, and I will be right back, guys. Okay guys, I am back, and I've got the rest of my makeup on. Let me show you real quick what I used today. For bronzer, I used the Fenty Cream Bronzer in Butter Biscuit. I use this a lot. For my blush, I used the ILIA Color Haze Multi-Matte Pigment. I think you can use this on your cheeks, your eyes, your lips. And I have the color Temptation. So far, I like this blush. I also used the Clinique Lunar Pop highlighter. I showed this, I think, in my last video. Really pretty, nice, subtle sort of highlighter. I went ahead and went under my eyes with some more of the colors from the palette that I used today. And if you're wondering, I used the Morphe 18S, I think it is, palette. And, you know, I like it. It's a Morphe palette, so, you know, it is what it is. For my brows, I used my Gimme Brow, and I went ahead and purchased the little set of the big plus the small Precisely My Brow pencil. And I think I got this in the shade 5, but my Gimme Brow is in the shade 6. For lips, I have on the Nudist liner from Sephora and Fresh Brew from MAC, and then over the top I've got this new gloss from Sephora, which I also showed in my last video, and I have the color Brave on. For the foundation, I did go ahead and spray with a couple of things. I got this little tiny Lila B a glow face mist in my Sephora package. I don't remember if I asked for this or if they just put it in there or what, but you know, it's okay. The sprayer's kind of crappy, so you know. And then I used a little bit of the Collab Grand Finale. The sprayer on this is terrific, so when I run out of this, I'll probably put something else in it just to have the sprayer. I think that helped because the foundations that I used today are all quite matte, and they were looking a little too matte for my liking. So I thought I'm gonna spray that with a little bit of stuff and see if I can bring back a little bit of the glow. I'm not sure I succeeded, and we'll see if that helps the longevity of the makeup in general. But overall, I don't mind the way that this looks. Like I said before, it looks a little heavy around my nose. So far, I haven't had any additional creasing in my forehead lines. I think that I'm gonna see how this, yeah, it's a little heavy right here. And I don't know what it is about this particular place on my face that drives me crazy, but it does, and it tends to want to break down there and just kind of settle in sort of a weird way. I mean, foundation in general, not just these foundations. And so that's the one. I don't mind a little bit of it because I can tap it out usually, but if it gets too crazy, I don't like that. So a little bit I can handle. Too much, no. But I like the color. I think turned out fine. That allowed me to use some of the ILIA foundation, which is clearly too light for me, right? At least with this much of my like neck and chest showing. I think I'm gonna leave it there for now, guys, and I will check in a little bit later. Hi guys, I'm just doing a quick little check-in on my foundation mixture that I have on today, which is the Kokie Skin Perfect foundation, the ILIA foundation that I picked up the other day, and a little bit of the Cover FX foundation drops in P50. It looks good. I mean, I don't have any complaints. It hasn't settled anywhere that I can tell. I did spray it with those two sprays that I mentioned, and so that may have helped the longevity. I haven't noticed. I went out today and wore a mask for a while, and it hasn't really noticeably worn off anywhere. It looks a little makeup-y, but not to the point where I feel like it looks bad. Maybe it's just because I've been a little bit more used to wearing lighter stuff in the warmer months, but I would definitely wear this combination again. I feel like it almost looks better now than it did 8 hours ago when I put it on, and that's always a nice thing, a nice surprise. I think that if I hadn't sprayed it with those things, that it might feel a little bit dry at this point. It's not really feeling dry right now, but I feel the potential there for it to start feeling a little bit dry, but it's, you know, it's good. But I think that I'm gonna count this as a relative success. I don't feel like any of the coverage has disappeared or anything. It was not a full coverage mixture because I couldn't cover up the dye on my forehead, which probably nobody noticed but me. So I think that this was a success, and I'm happy with the way it has worn over the last 8 hours. And yeah, I think that's it, guys. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, ring that bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.